Good morning from Nagpur. Walking around the grounds here in India. We're doing well today. Yesterday was incredible. I didn't quite get to do a recap, but man, I had an amazing day. First off, I got to speak to about 2,000 young kids, share my story. I'll have highlights of that so that you can review those. It was an incredible experience, but I will tell you that it was not good from a presentation standpoint. It's my first time ever speaking with a translator, and I found my presentation style doesn't go very good with a translator. We'll be doing some more of those and practicing so we can get better. But I got to share my story, got to encourage them, got to encourage a group of them who became new believers. And man, it was amazing. I was also hot. I was soaking wet after only 20 minutes. I knew I did not do very good. And I knew I didn't do good when I got off the stage. And the only comments people had for me was, wow, that was short. And apparently here, that's not a good thing. They came a long way. They want to hear you talk for a while. I was told I had 20 minutes, so I went 20 minutes. I'll plan for more next time. Today, I actually get to present to a group of 120 doctors. You get to present the capacity model. I guess now I'll be an international speaker. Very excited about that. Brought about 30 books, carried them on my back from Minnesota. So happy to hand those out today. And then after I spoke yesterday, I got to go tour the city in Nagpur, which was scary. The driving here is unbelievable, but it's like a roller coaster ride almost, where you just buckle in. You're like, yeah, I know I'm not going to crash. I'm not sure how we're going to get there, but it works. So got to go to 0 Mile, which Nagpur has a spot where it's the exact geographic center of India. So got to take a picture there. It was pretty cool. And then just drove all around the city, drove past some slums, drove past a lot of businesses, and they're all packed into these tiny areas. So it was very interesting to see. We went to an ATM to get some cash, and you cannot get very much cash at a time. So you have to get a little bit and then go back and then get a little bit and then go back and get a little bit. And you don't want to do that all at once because there's a big long line of people waiting for you on the side of the road where cars are parked in the road, and it's a little bit of chaos. I took the guys who were showing me around town, I took them to lunch, and we went to this amazing restaurant which had some phenomenal reviews, and boy, it was really good. Had some of my favorites, which were pretty Americanized, and it was paneer tikka masala and butter chicken, and we had some cheese naan, which was amazing, and then just drove around a lot more and got to see some of the different temples, the Buddhist or Hindu temples. Got to see some of the Hindu temples around town, and that was pretty awesome. How you guys doing? Good morning. And then drove past a lot of the universities. There's a lot of really cool schools here, and they look very beautiful, very nice. Drove past an open air market. I really want to go to that. Did not get a chance to go to it, but it looked like an exciting adventure. So maybe I'll get to go back there and visit, and I'll get some footage of that. I shared some footage of driving around in Nagpur, which was, like I said, pretty cool. And then I got to meet some really neat people. Like I said, I'm walking around the campus here, and yesterday morning I got to walk around with the guy for about an hour. He shared his story growing up in a rural village in eastern India, where he lived in a village of about 50 families, and he and his family, his father became born. How are you guys? He and his family got to, good morning, praise the Lord. He and his family, his father became Christian, and they ended up getting run out of their village, had to move to another village, and then their house ended up getting burned down. His brother-in-law was actually killed, and his father was killed for their faith. And this all happened while he was going away to Bible college morning. And all that did was encourage and fill the believers up with hope and embolden them, really. And so it was really neat to hear that story. Apparently, back in 2008, 2009, there was a big conspiracy to blame the Christians on killing one of the Hindu priests. And so they formed this big long march terrorizing Christians from village to village and causing them all to have to flee and ended up in a refugee camp for 3 years. Pretty incredible, pretty heartbreaking story, but listening to him tell it, all it did was provide fuel for the fire that he knew he was doing the right thing and sharing the gospel. And very incredible, man. So I got to hear that story. Then I got to hear another story. You never know who you're going to meet. So there's this very famous, very well respected musician here that's camp performing that they had hired, and got to talk to, I was just sitting next to him and had sat next to him a few times. I hadn't talked to him yet. And I really liked his watch. He had this really cool watch. And so I commented on it and said, hey, that's a beautiful watch. I love that. And he told me he got gifted it from a friend of his. And then we started talking. He started telling me his story. And his story was that he was a gangster and grew up as a young gangster. By the time he was 16, he had already tried to kill 6 people and had a miraculous coming to Christ story, changed his life, turned his life around, and has written over 2,000 songs. He was a national champion cricket player and is sought out all over India to come and sing and speak and share his business, his ministry. He goes into prisons and sings and performs for them and shares with them the gospel morning, and has just an incredible amount of stories that showed me all these newspaper articles where jailers had gone and reported how incredible the transformation of the prisoners were after he'd come in, and the newspapers had known all about it. And so, very cool. He also shared that they have gone and done some ministry with victims of sex trafficking, as well as those in sober living homes. It's pretty cool to hear all of that, because he is doing a lot of the same work that my wife is doing, and just what an incredible connection that is. Amazing hearing that. He lives in Mumbai, is connected with a lot of the top Hollywood actors, several of them are Christians, and so he shared some of the testimonies of that. So just an incredible man, and hoping to get to connect with him when I'm back in Mumbai in a couple weeks and see if we can spend some time going around town together. And that was yesterday. Yesterday was an amazing day. Today, like I said, I'm speaking to some doctors, and we're going to share about the capacity model, how to build your best life with them. Have an incredible day. I got a little bit more rest yesterday, so I'm feeling a little bit better. Took about a 5-hour nap, actually, and was a little concerned about being able to get to sleep last night, but I did. I got to sleep from about midnight to 5 o'clock, so we're good to go today. Thanks for joining me. Have an incredible day.